So I think the emotional maturity part is a huge gap in what we all have learned about car seat safety. We need to be thinking about, is my child emotionally mature enough to be able to sit properly 100% of the time? I can't sit properly 100% of the time.
All right, guys, so I just want to jump right into this episode. This is part 3 of my interview with Michelle Pratt from Safe in the Seat. So she's going to go over some more tips with car seat safety. Let's just jump right in.
Okay, so I do have a couple questions from the Facebook group. So this first one says, at what age and weight should they actually transition from a 5-point harness to a booster seat? And she kind of just talks about how ebb and flow is under fire right now because of a video with the dummy test saying it was safe, and it came out it wasn't safe.
Kind of to what I said just a second ago, when we have our car seats, I go to the end of the limits. So don't worry about their age. Worry about getting them to the maximum height or weight of the seat that they're in. For most kids, like a convertible car seat, and that's one that rear faces and then forward faces, most kids on average, if you've got one that's like way off the growth charts, okay, that's an exception to the rule. But if for the average size kids, they can be in those seats until usually they're 5 or 6 years old. Mm-hmm. So sometimes even older than that. Keep them in it. Here's the thing that I don't think we talk about that I wish just as a mom we would have. So I have a 6.5-year-old, he's still in a harness seat. A harness is a straitjacket. Our kids' most vital parts of their bodies cannot move. The responsibility of keeping them safe is on us, right? Because we buckle them in, we make sure the harness is right, we do that. When we switch them to an adult seatbelt, even in a booster, so like this even flow thing that came out, when we put small children, age-wise, height-wise, weight-wise, in a booster seat, their bodies are not developed enough to be able to withstand intense crash forces. In addition, we are putting the responsibility of them staying safe, which means staying in proper position, on them. I don't know about you guys, but my 6-year-old doesn't listen to everything I say. I have a 3-year-old, she surely doesn't. So I think the emotional maturity part is a huge gap in what we all have learned about car seat safety. We need to be thinking about, is my child emotionally mature enough to be able to sit properly 100% of the time? I can't sit properly 100% of the time. So to ask that of a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 year old to do so, that also puts a lot on us as the moms driving the car, because now we're turning around or sit up, you need to sit up, stop touching your sister, don't reach for that snack, don't keep them harnessed as long as you possibly can. And then when they outgrow that stage, decide, are we emotionally ready to move to an adult seatbelt and a booster? I'm a big fan of going to a high back booster after the straitjacket harness stage because it trains them how to sit. And if you don't think they're emotionally ready, then there are a next level seat that harnesses for a longer period of time.
So I know you mentioned rear and front facing. So this is another question that came up in the group as well. When should a child move from rear to front facing? And kind of a little bit more about the bone ossification, like as it relates to that as well.
Same thing as I've just said, if you guys have hung on this long, like the longer we can keep kids in the current stage they're in, the safer they are, the better our money is, we've invested in these car seats, we're kind of using them to the limits. So for rear facing, there really is no question that riding rear facing is safer. There's literally, there are some things in parenting, lots of things in parenting where there are choices or preferences about organic or not organic, co-sleep, don't co-sleep, breastfeed, formula feed, whatever. And we get to make choices as parents, right? And there are strong arguments on both sides. When it comes to car seat safety, there's one side. It's a one-sided argument because it's scientifically based. So there's nothing that goes against saying rear facing is safer. Literally, there's not one place that says that we shouldn't do that. So we want to rear face those kids until we reach the height or weight limit of the seat that they're in, which often means they're between 3 to 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So P.S. I turned my first kid on his second birthday. That's what I thought I was supposed to do. So you're not going to get judgment from me. My daughter, who's about ready to turn 4, is still rear facing. I tell people this for 2 reasons. One, because of the bone ossification, which means that the bones within the neck and spine, when you're born, are not fused together. As you get closer to age 4, you get, on average, but that's pretty true, like 96% of our kids' bones have fused together, which means that their neck and spine are a lot stronger. Mm-hmm. So I tell people in general, like, try to make age 4 your goal. No judgment from me. They may outgrow it before that. They may be able to stay in it till age 6. But the closer we can get to that, the safer. In addition, what I wish somebody would have told me with my son, they're annoying when you turn them forward facing, you guys. They are. So when they're rear facing, everyone worries about their legs. First of all, their legs are never a concern. The incident of kids' legs being injured happened forward facing because they slam into the seat in front of them. Mm-hmm. So that's the biggest reason people are turning their kids is because of their legs. My daughter, literally her legs, like you'll see all over my page, they're hanging to the side, they're up in the, like she's all over the place. But if we turned her forward facing, they'd be dangling down. And a lot of times kids' legs fall asleep. It's an uncomfortable position for them. It's like if you're on a bar stool and you can't reach the part that you set your feet on, it's mm-hmm. uncomfortable. So for everybody, if for no other reason, you can check out on my, like, I have some crash test videos and all that on rear facing that if you want to share those with yourself or people around you that are questioning mm-hmm. if rear facing is safer, you can watch those and there's no question that it's safer. But for the mom sanity part, I would keep them facing backwards as long as you can. They can see mm-hmm. what you're eating. They can see when you change the music. They can see, they want to play I Spy the whole entire ride. Like your couple of moments of quiet have gone away when you turn them forward facing. So
mm-hmm.
go to ride that out.
That's awesome. All right. Yeah. Awesome. I think that definitely answers her question there. And then I have just one final question from the group. Are car seats voided after a car crash?
Usually, yes. There are, as always, in this lovely car seat world, there are exceptions to everything. And there are a lot of manufacturers. And so they all have a different sort of set of rules. On average, the answer is yes. I would do the easiest thing, which is call the manufacturer directly and walk them through what happened, and that they will tell you whether to replace the seat, or there's a grouping of car seats that are considered, if you're in a minor crash, you can still use it, but defining minor crash means different things to different people. So yes, most often you have to replace it, because we have to remember the car seat was made for one-time use in terms of one-time crash. It was not made for more than one. Mm-hmm. So even if it's unoccupied, your kid isn't in it, and you're in a crash, you should call the manufacturer and see if it needs to be replaced. And most often, our insurance companies will pay for the seat to be replaced if the manufacturer requires it. You may have to upfront the cost, and then they reimburse you. But push for, if your manufacturer says that your car seat has to be replaced, then we need to advocate with our insurance companies that they need to cover that cost.
Super helpful to know, because I was seeing that in the group as well. Thank you for answering all of those car seat questions. Like I said, I saw your page and I was like, she has to come on the show, because I think this is like one of those topics we haven't covered yet. So I think it's super beneficial. So I always like to end the interviews with these fun thinking questions, I like to call it. And I just ask everyone I interview a couple of these questions. So the first one is, if you could have a billboard made today where you could share one tip with moms everywhere, what would you have it say?
I struggled with postpartum depression after my first was born. And I think in part it was because I kept wishing for the previous life, or thinking about when is it going to get back to this? So embrace the struggle. Parenting is hard and it's incredibly joyful, but the more we can kind of embrace the struggle, I think we'll find the happiness in the struggle. So I don't know if that's billboard worthy, but
No,
I found for me, the sooner that I did that and sort of accepted my new reality and what life was like, the sooner I found happiness in the process.
So where can moms get more information about what you do, any upcoming courses, any of that?
Instagram, I am a mom of like 2 young kids, and it's just me that does Safe in the Seat. So like, many of us were just trying to get a couple hours of sleep a night and like stay standing and feed our kids something other than, I won't admit, all the frozen waffles frozen, which is how my kids like to eat them. So Instagram is by far where I spend the majority of my time. I post in stories a ton, and then I have, pretty frequent posts, and I do it based off, similar to you, questions that come in. I really try to address them throughout, over time. I do have a website, safeintheseat.com, which is becoming more robust as the interest is growing. And I have 2 courses that are out right now. One is specific to safe sleep in car seats, because there was such a tremendous need for that coming in from my audience. And then one is about how to travel with your kids and car seats. It's called Wheels Up. And then I have another one that's going to be coming out, I'm hoping in the Mother's Day-ish timeframe, that's going to be addressing car seat basics, all the things that you need to know, and geared towards everyone from us moms to nannies to grandparents to just sort of be a general, like, what are a lot of these basics that we all just give us the foundation. Mm-hmm. So I'm working hard on getting that pulled together for everybody, and that'll be announced through emails and my website and Instagram, but that's where I'm most active for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely share some of those with the group as well, and share all your links below, because like I said, I think this is just super awesome what you do and super beneficial.
Thank you. I love it. Like I said, I never ever would have thought this is what I would be doing, but when I became nationally certified, I just decided that I wanted to have a mom's take on this world, like just somebody else that can talk to us without us feeling judgment or shame for what we're doing or how we're doing it. So I very much care about that as the sort of vibe of my page, and no questions are bad questions and no judgment.
All right, guys, that was part 3 of my interview with Michelle Pratt from Safe in the Seat. I hope you learned a ton. If you missed part 1 and 2, we have them linked below, so go ahead and check those out. I also linked all the important pages that she had talked about in the interview as well. So be sure to check her out on Instagram if you haven't already. Give her a follow and see her awesome posts. She's at Safe in the Seat, so check her out there. And thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week with a new interview.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Mom Talks with Krista. If you're not yet subscribed, go ahead and click on the subscribe button. It should be down here somewhere. We release new episodes every single Wednesday, and if you're not following us yet, be sure to follow us at Mommy Knows Best on Instagram. And remember, if you're watching this and doubting yourself, you are a great mom. So thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next week.